Hello everybody, this is Mike from Mike's Towing in Bennington, New Hampshire. Today we are going to be discussing the modifications that have been made to my military wrecker to make it more functionable in a commercial and civilian application. This vehicle is still undergoing more modifications every day. Please excuse the appearance. She is far from finished. Towards the end of the video, I will explain a little bit to why all of these modifications were made. As stated in the first video, I make no claim to be any type of military vehicle expert. These videos are for informational purposes only. Here we have the front winch of the vehicle. This is a 17,000 pound winch that comes with 280 feet of 5/8 cable. The only way to operate this winch factory is from inside of the cab. As you can see here, we added a lever that runs directly back to the valve that operates the hydraulics for this winch. In addition to that, we added a tension plate so the winch cable would wind in properly. This is the only winch on the vehicle that comes with a clutch release to free spool the winch. One of the under hood modifications was swapping out the factory generator for an alternator. The original generator had failed and it is quite expensive to replace, and it's hard to find somebody who can rebuild it. A little research brought me to a piece of forestry equipment that runs the same engine in a 24 volt configuration. So the alternator itself, a pulley, the belt, and the upper alternator bracket all had to be changed, and I still came in about a third of the cost of replacing the generator with original equipment. The only other thing I did underneath the hood was to turn up the pump. When I first got the vehicle, it was so slow it would hardly even climb a hill. So a lot of research went into finding the proper information for the pump to turn it up. There's a ton of people out there who claim to have all of the knowledge and will reference this vehicle in particular, and they're not even talking about the right pump. So if anybody does this, please take your time, do your research, and make sure you've got the right guy talking about the right pump. Across the entire internet, I only found one guy that actually knew what he was talking about. The rest of them were just weekend diesel warriors who offered a lot of assumed information that could cause somebody to destroy their engine. We added in heated and lit mirrors, and the truck was also a soft top when I got it. That was damaged. I wanted a hard top. Replacement was quite expensive, so I fabricated my own roof. Added LED cab clearance lights and a sliding rear window. As you can see, the interior has been completely repainted. And once upon a time, there was a kick plate similar to what a Jeep Wrangler has, which I cut back and rolled into a little area to hold my gloves and stuff like that. Being as high up as this vehicle is, the last thing you need is something to grab your foot on your way out the door. The newly fabricated roof got soundproofing, as well as a roof console style box to help cover the noisy air-powered wiper motors. Added in LED interior lighting and sun visors. Other modern amenities that were added in were a 12 volt power inverter to charge flashlights, cell phones, etc. Cup holders, of course, and some small trays and containers to store things in. Originally at the back of the cab there was an intake stack that went up to the top of the roof, as well as an exhaust stack on the passenger side. Both of those had to be modified and cut down to make room for the toolboxes. A truck of this nature in the civilian world can never have enough toolboxes. Here are some store-bought, some factory, and some fabricated. The 90-gallon fuel tank had to be removed from the side of the truck and repositioned to the center of the truck where the spare tire was. The upper skinny door houses the foot for the Outrigger, which has been modified, and the door to your right is to access the original toolboxes that could only be accessed from up on top with a flip-up lid. The front Outriggers needed to be modified to accommodate the toolboxes. The rears have not been modified, and you can see what they originally looked like. Here you can see the Outrigger partially pulled out with the foot added. The foot actually came off a different military vehicle. It's a pin-on style. I'm able to just put this on and give it half a turn, and it locks itself into place. If you did not see my first video, this Outrigger stiff leg pulls out and swivels down on the ground. They're completely manual, time-consuming, and heavy. Originally, the only way to operate this truck was from up in the crow's nest, up on top of the truck beside the boom. I added in a LODAR system that works the entire boom system from remote. I also have a secondary winch that we added on top of the boom, a Pro winch. That is also a remote, and a remote for an electric cylinder that operates a pin to hold the boom in place. That pin is a 3-inch solid pin that we like to call the Duker. It drops down through the rotating plate of the boom and locks it into place. The winches on this truck actually have enough power that if you're pulling hard from the side, it will actually tear the teeth off of the gear. I will not disclose how I know that information. So, moving on. Here is the crow's nest where you would have to originally operate the boom from. Here is some images of the LODAR setup, the best I can do. Not a very good cameraman. And also a diverter valve that splits the hydraulic pressure up to the secondary winch of the boom. That secondary winch is by a company called Pro Winch. It's my first experience with them. So far, so good. I'm fairly impressed with it. It comes as a kit. It is all remote solenoid control and is rated for 20,000 pounds. The one thing I would have really liked to see on the winch was some kind of remote for the clutch free spool of the winch. As you can see here, I had an extra LODAR valve from my already installed system and made good use of that. We also fabricated our own set of spreader bars. And we repurposed the front Outrigger feet and made some pretty angry Scotch blocks. So originally this boom is a single cable, single winch. Boom rotates 360 degrees. The original boom head is a fixed sheave wheels crane style head. It is not designed as a wrecker and cannot pull from the side in any manner. It's made to pick things straight up and put it straight down. So obviously that doesn't work as a civilian wrecker, so the whole end of the boom was completely rebuilt. There are modified boom heads made by In the Ditch. and the rest of it was all hand fabricated. Now that the vehicle is near completion and I've had the opportunity to bring it out in the field and work, I will say it is a beast, and I am happy that I built it. There are parts of this vehicle factory that are amazingly well built and way over engineered. However, I will say factory the vehicle has some major downfalls, and I applaud anybody who ever worked with this vehicle in the setting it was intended to be. Operating this truck as a wrecker in its factory form is actually extremely inefficient. The need to climb up and down the truck to operate the boom or to access the major components in the toolbox creates obvious safety hazards. Or you might be lucky enough to be the guy standing on the ground as the person on top of the truck passes you a 125-pound snatch block up above your head. The truck is clearly designed to be operated by a minimum of 2 trained personnel at all times. Everything is exceptionally inefficient, heavy, and slow compared to anything in the civilian world. In fact, in a military setting, if you were set up and doing a recovery and the enemy was approaching, you would probably be forced to abandon the vehicle or be ready for a fight. There's simply no fast way to do anything in this vehicle. And if the vehicle was fully set up for a full-blown recovery with outriggers out and 100-pound snatch blocks spread out through the woods, it would take you quite a while to clean up that mess. So you better hope the enemy was spotted a mile away and they're all riding unicycles. Again, I applaud anybody who has ever been in that circumstance and anybody who has ever operated this vehicle in its factory form on a daily. In closing of this video, I hope you have found some of this information useful or entertaining. Once the vehicle is complete, which should be soon, I will post another short video with the hopefully completed paintwork and the last of the modifications that are yet to come. I also hope to start to be able to post videos demonstrating what the vehicle can actually do in the field. Thank you for watching.